Follow me, my shepherds, for I will lead you to the truth. Alright, well, let's see what's going on here. First things first, let's just go straight to the AMD Keynote here. Let's see, AMD, let's just go AMD. It's gotta be here somewhere. Right here. Okay. I haven't watched this entire thing, hell, I've only watched like 2 seconds of it, but... Oh, that's loud. We should be able to find the key spots here. Don't care, don't care. Nice. Nice. Wait, I want to see the die shot actually. I have no idea what any of this means. Okay, it looks like they just straight up like doubled Navi. From looks like it anyway. Can I zoom in on that here? Can I go 4K? What's going on? 4K. Oh, that's a big boy. That is a big die. Good on you, AMD. It's like 3/4 cash.
26.8. Now let me turn it over to architecture road feature. We want.
Don't care. Who the hell is this? Don't care. Don't care. Get off the stage.
In combination.
Oh my god, she is just struggling to keep a straight face. She has no idea. She just memorized a fucking teleprompter, didn't she?
Requires more data to be brought into the chip. The timing, sees and power consumption.
Don't care.
Frequency and all this together. The RDNA2.
Oh my god, this chick is cringe as hell. I can't do it.
Achieving architecture. We partner closely with
AMD, you gotta get better.
Ultimate features
This girl doesn't game. She has nothing to do with gaming.
We're excited about
absolutely nothing.
Performance of RDNA2.
You'd better off be getting a neck beard up there.
And when we put it all together, on average, RDNA2 delivers double.
What is this? Oh, no, I don't care about this.
Hello to all of the gamers tuning in, and welcome to our Radeon RX 6000 series product reveal.
Huh.
As a hardcore League of Legends and Borderlands 3 player, and playing these games on our RX 6000 series over the past few weeks, 100 XT is purposefully designed to...
Okay. Remember what I said in the stream about... Is my camera blurry? Can't tell. Remember what I said in the stream about looking at the boost clock? This is going to dictate how far these things are going to overclock, right? So this is a little concerning. Keep going here.
Incredible frames per second, but in most cases, from the
come on.
And has some significant wins. 1440p API scenario.
Here we go. What the hell does best API mean? Best API for the card? Do you also remember in the stream that I said to look out for which games they benchmarked? Remember how I said Division 2 and Vulcan style games and how they all scale really well with AMD? Because we know that Big Navi is going to scale really well in Fire Strike type games, right? Okay, this is the most interesting part I find of the entire stream.
The 6800 cool features. The first is a one-click overclocking button we built into our
Don't care about that.
Bit of performance it has. AMD can deliver both high.
Okay, this is actually where the entire thing actually starts getting interesting here. With the whole rage mode thing, what I'm assuming is going to be doing, notepad here. We know that the boost clock is 2250. So if you enable rage mode, I'm assuming you're just gonna get to 2250. That's probably what that is, or 22,000, whatever they said their game clock was, right? Game clock is what it runs out of the box in games, though. So I'm assuming rage mode should be this. Assuming you have the thermal headroom and all that stuff, right? But what does that say for overclocking headroom? There probably is none. That's what I'm thinking with this. Let's keep going here. This next part is a really exciting one.
AMD Smart Access Memory.
This.
AMD Smart Access Memory unlocks the greater amount of high-speed memory from the AMD Radeon RX 6000 series processors, and it delivers a
This was very, very smart on their part. Like this, and you know what the interesting thing was here? This is probably how they're going to get around the latency problem. I don't know exactly how this is going to work here, but you can clearly see that they know that they're still behind in gaming, and they're trying to think up all these ways that they can implement. It's almost like graphics accelerated, like hardware. Like what is it called here? Graphics. It's very similar to this, whereas the GPU can do its own scheduling and relieve a lot of resources from the CPU. This seems to take it one step further, where the CPU actually has direct access to the memory in the GPU itself. So this bypasses the entire latency system of the system RAM. It's actually quite genius. So if you combine these two, if that's what it is though, if that's actually what this is doing, and this bypasses the RAM, and it's smart enough to keep a game in 1 CCX, this should win 1080p gaming. I would say the combination of Ryzen 5000 and Big Navi. If this can bypass all, like let's say if they can keep the entire game's textures and all that stuff and the map and everything in the GPU, and they just bypass the entire system RAM altogether, then that would reduce quite a few hops that the CPU would have to take. That's a lot of latency hops to get more FPS at 1080p. We'll see, but that is an extremely compelling and interesting idea that they've thought up here, and what a great way to sell both of their products. Like they don't want people to just buy a graphics card and throw in an Intel system, right? Which is what I was gonna do. They want you to buy the whole package, right? That's really smart. This is compelling, very compelling. We need to find out more about that.
With our 500 series chipset motherboards, enable the setting in the BIOS, and the performance uplift becomes automatic. When you combine AMD
RTX 3080 1600 XT. Notice how they took some games out here. See, is this 4K? Yeah, 4K. See, the thing is, why are they advertising this smart access memory thing in 4K? What is it doing? Like, oh, plus rage mode. Okay. So, like, what is the smart access memory doing to help the GPU in 4K? Like, in 4K, it would be all GPU bound anyway. The CPU speed, it doesn't actually matter. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that these performance gains are from rage mode. And Forza would be CPU bound anyway. So I would assume that's why this bump is so much higher, right? Very interesting to look at and analyze this way. Right? Hang on, let me see this here. Calculator. 2000 megahertz base clock. Wait. 2250 divided by 2000. 12%? Okay, that makes perfect sense. If rage mode increases the frequency, let's say 2200 megahertz, these numbers all fit in line with that perfectly. For the because obviously 12% increase in frequency doesn't actually yield a 12% increase in gaming, right? But about 6 to 8%, sure. So this is all from that rage mode, I would assume. That's my theory. Let's keep going here.
Smart access memory with the one-click overclock many of the games. Absolutely millisecond.
Why aren't they showing 1080p though? That's what I'm really curious about. Because they're not showing 1080p, I'm assuming they know they still lose to Intel. Here we go. Fortnite 4K epic latency example. Latency reduction. Oh, this is for the monitor. Who cares about this? Keep going, keep going. Don't care, don't care, don't care. Don't give a rat's ass. That's a good price though. That's the thing. That's a damn. You get more system RAM than, or you get more VRAM than a 3080, and you get the same performance, right? And it draws less power. That's a good price. Very good. Very competitive. This. Assuming you're not ray tracing. If you're ray tracing, you have to go NVIDIA still.
Today we are also announcing the
Don't care about this.
Step into the 4K gaming experience.
5000 launch RX 68. You'll see that it's actually relatively compact for all the performance that it delivers. It's actually the same size as our 6800 XT card.
Yeah, that is pretty tight, like a Toyga. So this is all the exact same. So clearly this is going to be the best bin chip that you can get because it has the exact same board power with more compute units, right? Same clock. This is going to be the top of the line chip, like the best silicon. Why are they playing NVIDIA's game though? They keep advertising 4K. You're not going to beat NVIDIA in 4K. Okay. This is an interesting slide. Badass Ultra. Okay, so we're assuming they're using the same settings for both. Okay, this they're using. Okay, you see. Okay, do you see how they're using plus rage mode and plus smart access memory on the 6900 XT? So the numbers that you see here on their side are with some unknown 5000 series CPU. We don't know if they use the same. So like, essentially, what it is it's kind of misleading. They're using, so rage mode. You can think of rage mode as a Zen boost algorithm, right? So if they're doing a Zen boost algorithm on the 6900 XT, you're not going to have any headroom for overclocking at all with this graphics card. Whereas the 3090, you do have headroom. So this slide is a bit misleading because they're essentially overclocking their card against a stock 3090, right? That's the problem. And we don't know if rage mode increases power limit either. I would assume it does.
Let's take a look at the performance we see of Warfighter. Let's talk at not. I hope
that's still a good price though.
5000 series and the Radeon 6000 series. AMD is your best choice.
I want to see what system they used on the NVIDIA side.
And the Radeon RX
December 8th. Nah, that's it. Wait. Did they say what testing done by Performance Labs October 20th? RTX 2080 Ti. Oh, this was for the CPUs. Game clock is expected GPU clock running typical gaming app. Aha! Bursty workload, boost clock achievability frequency. RX 6800 XT. Ryzen 9 3900X. 16 gigs of 3200. Why are they doing this shit? They're gimping themselves here. You know what it could be? They could have purposely gimped it with slower RAM and then enabled that smart cache shit so it would bypass the RAM altogether, so the NVIDIA system got gimped a little bit. That's fine, that's fine. That's fine. Engineering motherboard, who cares about this? What the hell? It doesn't say anything about rage mode here. So you have to take these slides with a grain of salt. Huge. There's a lot of little fine print things going on here that are kind of sketchy. Oh, here we go. Boost. No, none of that. The key is game clock is expected when typical TDP is set. So rage mode definitely increases TDP. I fucking guarantee it. I guarantee it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so they don't go into depth there. Okay. So that's pretty much what my analysis is here. It still loses. Okay. First of all, they did not do any 1080p benchmarks at all, which is super disappointing. But so they could have done that for a few reasons, but I think the main reason they didn't show 1080p benchmarks is so you couldn't compare their CPUs to Intel CPUs, right? If they actually had a 1080p slide, we would have had all the information we needed to see if their chips went faster. Instead, what they did is they're marketing their cards as 4K cards, overclock the shit out of it with all this rage mode smart access stuff, right? If you actually overclock, I mean, we're talking within percents of each other here, but if you overclock an Intel and a 3090, it's still going to be faster. I don't know at 1080p though. They should have. This smart access memory might be a 1080p winner, not a 4K winner. Do you know what I mean? So that's a real shame they didn't show that, but because they didn't show that, I would assume Intel still wins. Do you know what I mean? With the CPU side. With the GPU side, it's also extremely odd that they don't show the FPS of the damn NVIDIA card. Do you know what I mean? Like, how the hell? Like, you can kind of go by the bar graph, but why didn't they show the damn number? See, they're doing everything possible to make it so you can't compare these things for some reason. They don't want you to compare it to an Intel system. They don't want you to compare it to an NVIDIA system. They only want you to see their products in the best light. It's obviously it's AMD marketing. They're not the best marketers out there. See, do you see how it's the same thing with Forza? And we know that Forza is the most CPU-bound game out of all of these ones, and this one got the highest boost. The smart access memory thing does something with CPU-bound games. They should have tested 1080p. That sucks that they didn't do that. But the last point I wanted to make was, you know that a 3090 runs at about 1800 megahertz in 4K because it's power limited, right? With this, we know that Big Navi runs at, well, we're assuming with rage mode, 2200 megahertz in rage mode, right? Versus 1800 megahertz in a 3090. Man, if you put a water block and you power mod a 30, who cares? I mean, you know what I mean? If it draws 1,000 watts, who cares? But 2200 divided by 1800, that's 22%. You know what I mean? That's the 3090 has 20 more percent of overclocking headroom. The 6900 XT does not. This shit is capped out right out of the gate. And they show it to you right here. They're like, we used rage mode for this. So that is capped the fuck out, dude. This is not gonna go anywhere. If you put a water block, maybe 5%, power mod it, you know what I mean? This is exactly what I was saying in the stream the other day. Like, AMD has a tendency to use their boost algorithms to their advantage so that their out-of-the-box performance is always going to be fantastic. So, for 90% of the population that doesn't overclock their own shit, this is going to be the way to go. Because they do it all for you. This is brilliant. So if you take 5950X and put a 6900 XT in it, right? And then you enable these features that they got versus a 10900K 3090. This is going to perform substantially better out of the box with these features enabled. They're taking all of the work away from the average consumer. It's brilliant. That's their angle, right? An overclocker's angle is going to know that this is faster if you take the time to do it properly. So, out of the box, at my recommendation is, if you are a person that doesn't know how to overclock, doesn't know how to tweak their shit, doesn't want to dick around for 2 weeks on how to figure their shit out, this bypasses your system RAM. Clearly they use 3200. This bypasses your system RAM. You don't have to worry about your fabric clock and all that shit. This bypasses all your overclocking with the graphics card. Better node, more power efficient. Don't have to dick around with water cooling and shunt mods and all that fucking crazy shit, right? No dicking around whatsoever. Just get this and just be happy and leave it alone. If you know what you're doing and you want the absolute fastest competitive edge that you can possibly get, overclocking crown. This is still gonna be the crown. If you are interested in RTX though, the branding still gets to me, you know what I mean? Ray tracing, let's say ray tracing, RT. You still have to go NVIDIA because they didn't announce anything about DLSS or anything like that in this. So assume that Big Navi is not a DLSS competitor or a ray tracing competitor. It's a out of the box competitor, an esport competitor, you know what I mean? So if you are interested in ray tracing of any type, doesn't really matter what CPU you get because it's going to be in 4K anyway, but you have to get an NVIDIA GPU for ray tracing. But if you are interested in rasterized performance, this is going to be my prediction of what's going to be happening here. One quick last thing though, this all doesn't really mean shit all, because let's say even if they're within 5% of each other, it's in 4K. It doesn't mean anything. If you're at 120 FPS in 4K and the other one is 125 FPS, who gives a shit? Regardless, let's just call this a tie in 4K. This is completely meaningless. Which one is faster in 4K? What I want to know is which one is faster in 1080p. And we have no data yet we don't have any data at 1080p for these two systems to see which one is faster yet. So let's just call this a tie, and who gives a shit? And if you're a 4K gamer, I still feel like you're gonna want ray tracing. So it's really weird that AMD went after the 4K marketing when they know they don't have ray tracing. Who gives a shit about 4K? Show us some fucking 1080p shit. You know what I mean? Show us some 1440p. I don't know. That's my opinion. So, I mean, if you're a 4K gamer and you don't care about ray tracing, then just get what you can. Who gives a shit, right? That's my opinion. Like, it's a 4K tie. That's what I would say happening here. So what you're gonna see when the embargo lifts is all the reviewers are gonna be reviewing this and saying this is the king. That's exactly what because they test out of the box. If you go to GN's, he might show that this wins because he does a little bit more of the digging, you know what I mean? If you see mine, this is definitely gonna win. because I go way beyond what the average person does to make sure that they have the fastest, right? But that's my prediction for this. They didn't do a bad job. They did a good job. I think they did a fantastic job, actually. But this is exactly what I said they were going to do, where they're going to take all of their boost algorithm knowledge and overclock everything to the raggedy edge for you right out of the box, and you don't have to touch anything. And it's going to seem a lot faster to everybody because they don't know how to overclock this to make it faster than this. All they're gonna see is Linus Tech Tips and fucking Jay's 2 cents saying how amazing this is. That's it. That's my prediction. Anyway, guys, that's it.